I met Ava at a co-working day meetup in Austin. She was 26 and intelligent and hot. When she presented her side project, a sleek app that tracked emotional patterns in code, people actually shut up. I was one of them. I walked over afterward and we started talking about APIs and edge cases. We met multiple times after that and started dating. Ava could code circles around most engineers I knew. We'd stay up until 3, laptops open, her building features while I debugged. She'd lean over, hair brushing my arm, and say things like, "Watch this," and then deploy something elegant that made our little startup tool actually useful. I fell hard. One Saturday, we grabbed brunch at a little outdoor spot. We were halfway through pancakes when she started. "This place is a ripoff," she said, poking at her plate. "Overpriced eggs, watered-down coffee, and everyone smiling like they're forced to do so. The whole food scene here is fake as hell." "It's not bad. The pancakes are decent." She set her fork down, her green eyes narrowed. "Decent? Jesus, Jake, you really don't see it, do you? You defend everything. This city, these people, the way they pretend everything's fine while they step on each other. You're just like them, comfortable, blind." I put my hand on hers. "Ava, it's brunch. I'm not defending the system. I just don't think it's that deep. Don't patronize me. You'll never understand anything I say. Maybe that's why your last project failed, because you can't see what's wrong with anything." She pulled her hand away. The table next to us glanced over. I felt heat crawl up my neck. That night, she showed up at my door anyway. I let her in. We didn't talk about brunch. We just sat quietly and watched TV. And then, she pushed me down. "Say you're sorry." Hell, what? I'm sorry, babe." "See? We fix things together." This became routine. If I came home half an hour late from a client call, she'd greet me with a fist to the nuts. Not playful, full force. Enough to drop me to my knees while she stood over me. "You made me wait. I hate waiting." Sometimes she'd rake her nails across her own forearm first, watching the blood rise, and then press the same bloody fingers to my face. "Look what you made me do." One Thursday, I worked late on a deadline. When I pulled into the driveway, it was almost midnight. There she was, sitting on the curb across the street under the streetlight, legs folded, like she had been there for hours. She'd walked the 3 miles from her apartment. I crossed over. "Ava, what the hell?" She looked up, calm. "I needed to think. Your house helps me think. You know, the way the porch light hits the siding? It centers me." "You could have called." "I don't like calling when I'm like this." She stood, brushed dirt off of her shorts. "You don't get it. Everyone else would have left me out here, but you came over. You're the best." Inside, she rewrote the night before I could speak. "Remember last night when you said you would never leave me waiting again? You broke that promise tonight." I hadn't said that. I knew I hadn't. But she described the conversation so clearly, the exact words, the tone, that doubt crept in. By the time we were in bed, I was half convinced I'd forgotten my own promise. Her friends had a system. I learned about it later. After any long stretch with Ava, they'd meet up at a coffee shop downtown, compare notes, and shake off whatever version of reality she had sold them. One of them, a quiet woman named Claire, pulled me aside once at a group barbecue. Claire kept her voice low. "She's been telling everyone that you cheated on her with that client last month. Said you confessed. We all know it's but just be careful. She rewrites until even she believes it. I laughed it off then. I shouldn't have. The gaslighting got worse after that. Ava didn't just rewrite days, she rewrote weeks. She'd text me screenshots of conversations I swore never happened, complete with timestamps that looked real, until I checked my own phone and found nothing. I started screenshotting everything, but she would just laugh and say I was the crazy one for keeping receipts. Normal people trust each other, Jake. Her job situation unraveled fast. She was brilliant, could architect a full stack app in a weekend, but she was unstable. At her last real gig, a fintech startup, she accused her manager of stealing her ideas during a stand-up. And then she showed up to the next meeting with fresh scratches down her own neck and told HR the manager had triggered her. They fired her the same day. The one before that ended when she doxed a coworker on Slack for microaggressions that turned out to be him asking if she wanted coffee. So she pivoted. Freelance coding gigs on Upwork paid the bills at first, ghosting clients when they pushed back on deadlines, and then charming them back with flawless deliverables and apology voice notes. But the real money came from the side hustle that she started calling content creation. Instagram first, then Patreon, and then those fans sites where the paywalls are inversely proportional to her outfits. She framed it as art. I had been at a client dinner downtown, and I told her I'd be home by 9. My phone died halfway through dessert. When I finally pulled up to her place, I heard music thumping through the door. Low, sultry bass, and meowing? I let myself in and went straight to the bedroom. It had been turned into a studio. Soft ring lights, a green screen, and her DSLR on a tripod. And there was Ava, on all fours in the middle of the rug. Behind the tripod, holding a second phone for close-ups, was Marcus. My friend Marcus, the one who had introduced us at that co-working meetup 6 months ago. He was crouched low, whispering directions like some amateur director. Yeah, Ava, give me that slow blink. Perfect. Good girl. I stood there, blood roaring in my ears. What the actual hell is this? Ava looked up first. She tilted her head, cat-like, and let out a soft, deliberate meow right at me. Marcus straightened up fast, phone still recording. Jake, dude, hey, just helping her. Get the hell out of my girlfriend's apartment, now, out. He tried to laugh it off. Bro, it's just aesthetic content. She asked me to shoot because the lighting guy flaked, and I know my way around. I crossed the room in 2 strides and shoved the tripod. The camera clattered to the floor. I said get out before I throw you out the damn window. Marcus grabbed his backpack, muttering something about possessive much, but he left. The door slammed behind him. Ava stayed on her knees, tail swishing. Meow. And then she sat back and stretched. You're early. Or late. I can't keep track anymore. She patted the rug beside her. Come here. Sit down. Oh, come on now. You're a good boy. I've been thinking you could be an intern on the tech side. Back-end optimization, analytics dashboard, whatever you want. And we do couple content. You and me. Think about the money, Jake. We'd be unstoppable. My followers already ask about the mysterious boyfriend who codes. Imagine, we could play cat-cat. The followers would love it. I stepped back. No. I'm not doing this. Not the content, not the couples, not whatever the hell this is. You're spiraling, Ava, and you're dragging me down with you. She stood up slowly. You're just like every other guy. Scared of a partner who's doing better than you. Scared of my money. Scared of me. Fine. Leave. But don't come crawling back when your boring little work life feels empty. We fought for another hour. She cried, then screamed, and then scratched her own forearm deep enough to draw blood and smeared it across my face like war paint. "Look what you made me do." The classics. I packed the few things that I kept at her place and I walked out while she was still meowing insults at my back. We broke up the next day over text. She sent a voice note that started sweet and ended with her promising she would ruin my reputation in every Austin tech circle. I blocked her everywhere except the group chats we still shared with mutuals. It took 6 months before the mutuals stopped inviting us to the same things. 5 years later, I'm 32, running my own small dev shop out of a quiet office in East Austin. Married once, divorced once. Nothing dramatic, just two people who realized that they wanted different things. I date casually now. Last weekend I was doom scrolling at 2 a.m. when her name popped up in a suggested creator list on Patreon. Ava, kitten code 6282. Profile pic? Same green eyes, same wicked smile, but polished now. Professional lighting. Top 0.1% on the fan sites. I told myself I was curious. Clicked through. Holy moly. Her content was next level. High production videos. She still wrote elegant code. The comments were full of engineers losing their minds over both the algorithms and the way she purred through pull requests. She had merch, a branded cat tail line, a Discord for her highest tier where she did voice calls in character. I subscribed to the $25 tier before I could talk myself out of it. Then the $50, then the $100 VIP kitten club that unlocked the full archive. The couples-only content was in a private folder labeled Collab Nights. I clicked. I watched 3 videos back to back, heart hammering, stomach in knots. She looked happy. Stable, even. One pin post from last month read, "Found my forever dom. Coding plus cat equals life. Thanks for the journey, everyone." I sat there in the dark, laptop glow on my face, and I felt something crack open in my chest. Maybe I should have agreed. Maybe if I'd let her drag me into the lights and the cameras and the meowing, we could have built something insane together. Maybe I was the blind one, the laid-back one who couldn't see her art. Or maybe she was always going to burn everything down and I was lucky to get out with most of my skin intact. I don't know. I'm still subscribed. I still watch. And every time she looks straight into the lens and meows, I hear that old question in my head. Say you're sorry. My name's David, and back in 2022, I was just a regular young guy. Life was predictable. Wake up, code, grab takeout, repeat. I wasn't the type to chase excitement, but loneliness has a way of sneaking up on you. That's how I found myself at O'Malley's, this dive bar on the edge of Wrigleyville, one rainy Friday night. The place was packed with the usual crowd. Cubs fans drowning their sorrows, office workers unwinding, and a few sketchy types. I slid onto a stool at the bar, ordered a beer, and that's when I saw her. Lucia. She was the waitress, gliding between tables with this effortless grace, her dark hair tied back in a ponytail that swayed like she owned the room. The bartender, some guy named Marco, was chatting her up, but she brushed him off with a laugh. When she came over to take my order, our eyes met, and damn, there was a spark. "Hey there, what can I get you?" she asked. "Just a pint of whatever's on tap," I replied, trying to play it cool. But I couldn't help adding, "Busy night, huh?" She leaned in a bit, wiping the bar with a rag. "Always is on Fridays. You new here? Don't think I've seen you before." "Yeah, first time. Name's David." "Lucia," she said, extending her hand. Her touch was warm, electric. We talked for a minute about the weather, the game on TV, small stuff, but it felt real. Marco shot me a glance from behind the bar, like I was intruding. But Lucia ignored him, flirting right back. "You should come by more often, David. We could use some fresh faces." I left that night buzzing, replaying our conversation in my head. Over the next few weeks, I became a regular. Every visit, Lucia was there, lighting up the place. We'd flirt shamelessly, her teasing me about my tech nerd vibe, me complimenting her on how she handled the rowdy drunks. One night, after a few drinks, she leaned over the bar and whispered, "You know, you're not like the other guys who come in here. You actually listen." "Really? Well, what's that make me, then?" I asked, grinning. "Special," she said, her eyes locking on mine. Marco was always hovering, mixing drinks with a scowl, but Lucia made it clear she was into me. We'd share laughs about stupid customer stories, and once she even slipped me her number on a napkin. "Text me sometime," she wrote with a winky face. I started going 3-4 times a week. We'd text during the day, flirty memes, quick hellos. "Miss seeing you," she'd say. I felt alive again, like maybe this could turn into something real. Then came that fateful Saturday. The bar was throbbing with music, lights dimmed low for their weekly dance night. I spotted Lucia right away, in a tight black top that hugged her curves, serving shots to a group of giggling women. She waved me over. "David, you're here early," she said, planting a quick kiss on my cheek. It caught me off guard, but in the best way. Couldn't stay away. "You look amazing tonight." She blushed, or at least it seemed like she did. Flatterer. "Hey, want to dance later? Floor gets wild after 10. My heart raced. "Hell yeah. But I'm no pro. Don't laugh if I step on your toes." We chatted between her shifts, the flirting ramping up. Marco was behind the bar, eyeing us, but I ignored him. Around 11, I mustered the courage. "Ready for that dance?" She paused, tilting her head. "One condition. You gotta drink with me first. Can't dance sober, right? Marco, give us those specials." Marco grunted and slid over 2 vibrant blue cocktails. "On the house," he muttered, though his tone said otherwise. I wasn't much of a drinker, but for her, I clinked glasses. "To new beginnings," I toasted. "Cheers," she said, downing hers fast. I followed suit. The drink was sweet, with a bitter kick, but soon a warmth spread through me. The room spun a little, but I chalked it up to nerves. "Okay, let's do this," Lucia said, grabbing my hand and pulling me to the dance floor. We moved together under the strobe lights. It was great. Her laughter in my ear, the way she whispered, "You're better than you think." But the dizziness hit harder. My vision blurred at the edges, and my steps faltered. "You okay?" she asked, concern in her voice. Or was it amusement? "Yeah, the drink's strong," I managed. We danced for what felt like hours, but probably wasn't. Eventually, she led me back to the bar. "Get some water, handsome. Text me tomorrow?" I nodded, paid my tab in a haze, and stumbled home. The cab ride was short. When I got to the apartment, I patted my pockets. My wallet was gone. Panic set in. I checked my phone. A bank alert. $2,500 debited from my account. Unauthorized transactions at an ATM near the bar. The dizziness wasn't from alcohol. Lucia. No, it couldn't be. But memories flooded back. Her insisting on the drink. Marco's shady looks. How she'd kept me distracted on the floor. They had scammed me. Wallet lifted during the dance. Card skimmed or something. I felt like an idiot. Betrayed in the worst way. I grabbed my keys and drove back to O'Malley's, heart pounding. The bouncer blocked the door. "We're closing up, buddy." "I need to see Lucia, now," I demanded. "Who? Move along." "Lucia! Lucia! Lucia! Come out!" She finally emerged, looking annoyed. "What's going on?" "Lucia, it's me, David. What the hell? My wallet's gone. Money's stolen. We danced. You set me up." She stared at me like I was a stranger. "Excuse me? I don't know you. Get out of here before I call the cops." "But the flirting, the texts, everything." Her face twisted into a sneer. "Listen, creep, I'd never date an ugly man like you. You look like a goddamn animal. Scruffy, desperate. Stay away from me." Ugly? Animal? I thought we had something real. Humiliation burned in my chest. People were staring, whispering. I wanted to scream, to grab her. But I turned away, seething. Back home, I paced, debating calling the police. But first, revenge. I remembered my buddy's story about raccoons, those trash pandas that could wreak havoc. Chicago's full of them, scavenging alleys. I drove to a dumpster behind a fast food joint, baited a trap with peanut butter sandwiches, and caught one, a feisty little guy with bandit eyes. The next night, I parked near O'Malley's, heart racing. The bar was open, music thumping. I snuck around back, the raccoon in a cardboard box under my arm. It hissed and scratched, but I held firm. Peeking through the service door, unlocked, idiots, I whispered, "Go get him," and unleashed it inside. Chaos erupted almost instantly. Screams from the kitchen, glasses shattering. I hid in the shadows, watching through a window. The raccoon darted across the bar, knocking over bottles, scrambling up shelves. Patrons freaked out, women shrieking, guys trying to swat at it with brooms. Lucia was there, jumping on a stool. "What the hell? Ew, get it out!" Marco swung a mop, yelling, "Son of a bitch! Who let this in?" The thing bit a customer's ankle and then vanished into the vents. The place cleared out fast, fire alarm blaring, cops eventually showing up. I slipped away, adrenaline pumping, a grin on my face despite everything. In the end, I did call the police about the theft. They investigated, but Lucia and Marco denied everything. No proof, they said. The bar's cameras malfunctioned that night. I got some money back from the bank as fraud, though. O'Malley shut down a month later. Health violations from the raccoon incident, plus bad reviews. Last I heard, Lucia skipped town, probably running the same scam elsewhere. I got my dog Charlie when I was 7. He was a golden retriever lab mix, just full of energy. I loved that dog more than anything. Remember, he's your responsibility now. Take care of him. I grew up with Charlie. I took him on daily walks, and we had an awesome park near our house where I'd let him run around with the other dogs. By the time I was 16, Charlie was getting pretty old. He didn't run around as much as he used to, but he was always full of energy whenever I got home from school. Around that time, I had my first boyfriend, Lucas. My parents divorced when I was a kid, which was one of the reasons my dad got me Charlie in the first place. I knew that relationships didn't last forever, but Lucas really felt like my soulmate. He was a great boyfriend. He surprised me with little presents, and he wanted to spend all his free time at my house. My dad liked him, too. The only issue was that Lucas seemed jealous of all the time I spent with Charlie. He joined us at the dog park a couple times, but he never seemed happy to be there. Be honest with me, Bella. Who do you love more, me or Charlie? What kind of a question was that? He acted like love was some finite thing, and that the love I had for my dog somehow stopped me from loving him as a boyfriend. Whew, that's a tough one. Well, he laughed it off, acting like it was no big deal. But I knew his ego was bruised. A few days after he asked me that, he dropped off a box of chocolates at my house. I wasn't home at the time, so he slid the present through my mail slot. Of course, Charlie got into the chocolates immediately. When I got home, my poor dog was passed out on the floor, chocolate all over his mouth. He was breathing heavily and he looked awful. I rushed him to the vet and I had to get his stomach pumped. He was going to be okay, but it was a close call. Lucas apologized over and over, of course. But there was something about the way he acted. I knew that he had done it on purpose. He wanted Charlie to get sick. Now, I didn't say anything, though, because I didn't want to get into an argument. Well, a week later, Charlie ran away. Our gate was left open, even though Dad and I always lock the gate when we left the house. Once again, I got this funny feeling. My only explanation was that Lucas snuck over to our house and opened the gate when I wasn't there. I couldn't prove it, though, and I really didn't want to accuse Lucas in case I was mistaken. I immediately posted flyers around the neighborhood and prayed that someone would find him. But when I got back home and I checked the gate, I noticed something weird in the mud. I could see Charlie's paw prints in our yard. But at the edge of the property, his paw prints turned into drag marks. My dad had just gotten home, so I called him over to ask for his opinion. What does this look like to you? It looks like Charlie was pulled off the property. I don't think he wanted to run away. I agreed. Charlie didn't run away at all. It was supposed to look like he ran away, but he didn't. And that's when I knew for a fact that Lucas had staged everything. I was furious. I called him then and there and asked him to come over. What's wrong? I just told him to come over. I needed to get the truth out of him, and I was still thinking about how I could do that. Lucas arrived later and acted shocked. He looked at the open gate and asked what happened. He's not a very good actor, so I knew that he was hiding something. And by then, I had a plan. Don't tell me Charlie ran away! That's terrible! I pointed to the tracks in the mud. No, he was dog-napped. See? But it's okay. Dad's checking out the footage on the Ring camera. As soon as we find out who did this, I'm going to call the police and get them arrested. The look on Lucas's face was priceless. Just pure panic. We didn't have a Ring camera, of course. I made that up. But Lucas didn't know that. He got really flustered and started babbling. He told me to wait on the camera footage until he looked around the neighborhood himself. So I let him. He scurried off. I'm not sure where he hid my dog, but 10 minutes later, he came back with Charlie. Charlie ran to me with more energy than he'd shown in years. He wouldn't stop licking my face. See? I found him just down the street. Must have wandered off. No need to get the police involved. Where'd you find him? Lucas made up something about spotting him wandering through the park. He tried to comfort me with a hug, but I pushed him away. A few days ago, you asked me who I loved more. Well, I have my answer now. It's definitely him. Lucas and I broke up that afternoon. He begged me to reconsider, but I just couldn't see him in the same light anymore. His jealousy had gotten the best of him, and I lost all trust in our relationship. Now, I never told him that I knew he was the dog napper. Instead, I said, losing Charlie, even for such a short time, made me get my priorities straight. I don't have room in my heart for both of you. I hope you understand. Couldn't argue with that. Anyway, a few weeks later, I started dating his best friend, Josh. Unlike Lucas, Josh was definitely a dog person. These days, Josh and I run into Lucas at school sometimes. He tries to avoid us, but I can tell he's full of regrets. He knows he did a bad thing. I just hope that his next girlfriend doesn't have any pets.
It was all going great. I was about to be made a business partner at the consulting firm I've been working super hard at for 6 years. All my focus was going to pay off, and I could not be more excited about it. That morning, I woke up and did my usual routine, hopped in the shower, brushed my teeth, and made some eggs for breakfast. I was going to get coffee from the place around the corner. "Good morning, David. What can I get you today?" The barista greeted me warmly. She had been working there for years, so we were past the stranger stage. "Good morning, Susie. I'll have a flat white, please." After we exchanged some life updates, I was on my way to the office. The walk to the office was quite short. I arrived 20 minutes earlier, as I usually do. I did everything perfectly for 6 years straight. I was never late and even hosted the annual 4th of July party at my place, as I had a big yard that expanded in the forest and a great view to the lake, perfect for fireworks. "David, can I speak to you in my office?" my boss Don asked as soon as he saw me stepping into the office. I left my coat and briefcase at my desk and started walking after Don with the biggest grin. "Please, close the door behind you and have a seat. As you know, there's been some talk around the office about a new business partner. We wanted to promote someone from within our company, to show our appreciation for their constant hustle. And unfortunately, you didn't make the cut." He sighed, avoiding eye contact. I stared at him in disbelief. "You see, Sam's dad, he's one of our most important investors. This company wouldn't even be standing if it weren't for him. So, as a sign of gratitude, we decided to promote Sam. I know this is a hard hit for you, and you've been our best employee since the start, but this is just business. I am sorry." I got up and walked out as he was still talking. I could hear him yelling my name, but I didn't care. I was done. I grabbed my stuff and headed toward the elevator. As the doors opened, Sam walked out with the biggest and ugliest smile ever. "Hey man, you hear the news?" I rolled my eyes and walked past him. What a loser, I thought. How did this even happen? I don't care if his father built this building with his own bare hands. That doesn't mean you promote his idiotic and incapable son as a thank you. A note in a basket would have sufficed. I was fuming, and my first stop, as you could probably guess, was the liquor store. It was still 9 a.m., but I didn't care. I bought 3 bottles of booze. The weekend was approaching, and I made up my mind. I'll be putting my phone on Do Not Disturb and drink my sorrows away. Monday, I'd look for a new job. The plan was easy, and I was ready to forget this whole thing. I got home before 10 a.m. and grabbed a glass. My comfort show Friends was playing in the background. I took off my suit and threw it on the floor. I won't be needing that today. I started playing a drinking game. Every time I laughed, I took a sip. But somehow, after 15 episodes and a bunch of laughter, I finished more than half of my bottle. I was dizzy but still conscious. The anger started getting to me, so I took another sip. I woke up still on the couch, confused. I didn't know what time it was. My blinds were closed, and the only source of light was my TV. I didn't even know where I left my phone, probably still in my briefcase. Then I remembered. Sam's place, or more like his dad's place, was just on the other side of the forest. I could drop by and tell his dad what's what. Fueled by rage, I got dressed in black clothes and headed out the door. I decided to take the scenic route by the lake, with the bottle I didn't finish earlier. After walking for an hour, I realized I should have been there already. I looked left and right, but I couldn't see anything. It was too dark, and of course, I left my phone at home. At some point, I decided to enter the forest. Maybe I'd find some signs to redirect me back, I thought, but nothing. Not only was I lost, but I was lost in a dark forest with no phone, and my head was spinning. I decided to sit down and rest against a tree. I didn't have other options. I hadn't eaten for hours, or since yesterday, I honestly wasn't sure, but my stomach was growling, and I was seeing double. I woke up on the cold, wet ground. Great, now it's raining, I said to myself. I was covered in mud and God knows what else. I felt dirty, alone, too alone. And then I heard it, the cracking sounds of steps against the leaves. Someone or something was definitely lurking around, and I wasn't planning on finding out which. I laid low for a bit. I could hear their raspy breathing. Yet this time, I realized it didn't sound like an animal. There was a person, a man, somewhere near me, and I knew he was there. I tried calming down my breath, but as soon as I inhaled, I heard him sprinting towards me. It was nearly impossible to see anything, and I felt the air around me thicken. Panic set in and my whole body froze. I just ran. My muscles were sore and my feet were stomping on the branches, making it even harder for me to run properly. I had no idea where I was running to. I just had to be far away from that place. I reached the beach, and by that time I was exhausted. The mushy sand was soft, so I collapsed. The next morning, I woke up to people screaming. They weren't that far, so I decided to listen for a bit. They were looking for someone. Was it the man I heard? With the daylight around me, I didn't feel scared anymore, so I started looking for him as well. I went back into the woods, retracing my steps, but it was all a blur. After a while of not finding anyone, I decided to ask the group for more details. Approaching them, I started hearing my name, and then someone screamed my full name. I responded back saying, "I'm right here. Why the hell are you yelling?" Everyone stopped in their tracks. I must have been looking rough. "David?" I heard my best friend faintly shouting. "Are you crazy? Where have you been, dude? We've been looking for you since Friday. You left work early and your phone's been off all weekend. What are you doing here? What happened?" I was completely puzzled, and due to the lack of food, I must have passed out again, because I woke up in the hospital with my family and friends next to me. I explained what happened. Surprisingly, they understood. Apparently, I was gone for 3 days, which unsettles me greatly, because I thought I was gone for mere hours. I never told anyone about that man I heard that night. I still don't know if it was real, or if I was hallucinating. I'm still at the same job. Sam is now one of the partners. He bought a new car to celebrate, and went on a Euro trip with his wife to celebrate even more. My life sucks. I'm a loser.